Nei. Å, selvfølgelig. Det er duker sånn her nå. Altså, den ene heter...
Number 1, Wrath, are you wearing your academy robes?
Yeah, so thinking of this as we go in, I'm gonna don a more simple guise, something a standard traveler's wear that I've seen along the road. Maybe the last person I saw leaving, passing by, just like simple traveler's clothes, nothing fancy. And I'm gonna kind of give myself kind of a human look. Probably one of the many people that I murdered back in Shepard.
Okay.
Kind of a ghost from the past. No one in particular. Very humdrum.
Okay, and do any of you have any delirium on your person?
Yes. We definitely collected some in the at the bottom of the elves.
Keeping all the delirium because we need to bring it to River.
I know from a while ago we had a delirium rock.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and we found some shards after killing that guy's brother, the big.
Okay, so you all are still carrying that with you.
But I think Rat has all of it.
Okay, so that's what I want to know. Is there anything else that you want to do or prepare or conceal before you enter?
I'll put my hood up, and just in case,
just to set the tone.
And I do also want to announce that rule number 44 is that information is best gathered where locals gather. So this might be a good opportunity to gain some information on what the Illyrians have planned on their march for Drakenheim.
You can go in with the plan to have a drink, have a meal, have a good night, maybe meet some folks, see what they're up to.
We're just passing through.
We're just passing through.
Alrighty. You open the door to the Emerald Inn, and the smell of suckling duck and apple pie and cider assaults your nostrils. Within is a very low perhaps
pie.
7 feet high,
It's something,
and a cozy little tavern
forskjellen på eplekake og eplepai, det jo i en samme form. Det en sånn pai-form i to. I hvert fall de kakene jeg har spist.
In the whole tavern, there are arranged in kind of a 5x5 pattern are 5 large round tables, and then there is a small stage upon which a young halfling minstrel appears to be strumming along on a guitar. There is a warm hearth that basks the whole room in golden glow, but as appropriate for the Emerald Inn, all the lanterns are frosted over with green glass, giving the whole hue of the whole thing this very warm green and golden illumination of the whole thing. And the windows are all embossed with bits of green glass. And behind the bar is a bright red-haired halfling man that is more nose than face.
What?
And he has a very short beard, and he says, "Oi, welcome to the Emerald Inn. Grab yourselves a seat. Sit down, and we'll be around with some more cider for y'all in just a moment." And he says, and he points to the throng of soldiers that are occupying almost all the tables in the Emerald Inn and says, "Good chaps, if a few of you could just move around, and Val and the stable hands will bring out a couple more stools. So it's a very busy night here. Just bear with me, but rest assured, there's plenty of pie, duck, and cider for you all."
It's back memories, boys.
So do they start like shuffling to make room for us?
Yes, they do. They make room, and in fact, one of them stands up. She is an armored knight, and she is wearing the white and gold, kind of the white and yellow tabard, and her tabard is marked with the symbol of a shield with a flaming goblet in it. And her shield and sword are slung on her back, and she has long flaxen hair. And as you come in, she pulls the seat and offers it to you with a bow and says, "Good friends, we're all good company here. The cider's quite good, and I'm really looking forward to that pie. Enjoy." And she goes and joins the rest of her companions.
I thank her. I make sure, actually, everybody that gets up to move, I make sure to apologize and then thank them in the most Canadian fashion.
You
Sorry, thank you. Sorry,
Might be
thank you.
Within
Might be with you.
Within, you can see that there are there are about 20 people that are clearly all in the garb and equipment of some kind of Illyrian knightly order. Wilhelm, with your knowledge of history, you know that there are dozens of knightly orders in Illyria. Though, judging by the equipment, you would guess, and what you've heard most recently, it's a very accurate guess that these are the Knights of the Silver Order, one of the oldest knightly orders in Illyria, and one that has previously been operating across the world. I think that you know, everyone
tviler på det noen nye dinosaurer, ass.
the Silver Order says that they're not an Illyrian order, but a church order, which means that they don't respect national boundaries where they operate. And so this is something that is known. They claim to act under the authority of the church and above the laws of nations. But amongst the group of them, there seem to be several, at least maybe 7 or 8 of them are clearly knights, though most of them are not wearing their full battle plate, and they seem to be attended in some regard by at least a dozen squires.
Well, I suppose we should take our seat and order some food, ask for a room, and see what all this commotion here is about.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that duck. Bring it my way. I'm ready for a hot meal after riding all day.
As we take our seats, I yell up to the red-haired halfling. 3 ducks, 3 ciders, and 3 pies? 3 pies?
I'd eat one of those delicious pies myself.
3 slices of pie, I meant. Raph, do you enjoy? Okay, fine. An entire pie for the table, please.
As the evening progresses, one of the other a red-haired halfling woman comes around and puts a pie in front of each of you, and she says, "Round here, this is what you get." And it's actually a halfling-sized pie. It's a whole pie, but it's a halfling-sized pie.
I at some point decide that Raph probably isn't going to finish his pie, and are you going to finish that? And I start eating the pie.
And outside of my robes or my traveler's clothes comes Bruce, and he gives you a look that goes beyond comprehension, and he proceeds to devour the pie.
Has your cat been eating the pie the whole time?
What pie?
I flick the piece back into your plate. Very well. My mistake. Raph.
It's not long as you get through the duck and get into your cider and your pies. The flaxen-haired knight comes back over to your table and she says, "May I sit down?"
By all means.
And she says, "Thank you for your company." She takes a seat and places her helmet on the table, and she introduces herself. And she says, "I just wanted to introduce myself properly. I'm Gloria Hackfield. I'm one of the Knights of the Silver Order. Who are you?"
Wilhelm Wolfsbane. I'm just a traveler, and I'm here with my companions.
Rudy Whitaker.
Stephen Hodges.
Give me a deception check.
I get a 14.
Okay. Gloria smiles quite warmly. She's got a bit of a round face to her. You can see that there's the marks of some old scars to her, and she's by no means a slight woman. She definitely looks like the type of woman who could snap your neck. And she sits down at the table, and she says, "Norris, another round of ciders, please." And she says, "You'll forgive my intrusion. As you can probably just tell, we're not from around these parts."
We know you're not from around these parts. From Illyria, correct?
Yes. We've come up from Michael's Gate, the orders of the Ecclesiarch, and we're just moving through with the rest of the column and in the area. Are you from around here?
Not from around this direct place, but Westamar for sure. Not too far north of here from Tear Haven.
You must pardon me, of course. We've been traveling for a little bit of time, and we're on a bit of a sensitive mission, but I was hoping that maybe I could ask you some questions and get some information from you. We mean no harm, of course, in any way, but me and my compatriots here, we're just gathering some information about things that are happening in the area, and strange things, and the movements of people around through here. And we were just hoping that maybe you'd be willing to talk with us and share some information with us.
Well, I might have a proposition for you then, ma'am. We don't see many Illyrians. We haven't seen many in our travels so far. You're some of the first. We've heard a lot of whisperings of Illyrians in our area, so we also might be interested in learning some information. So perhaps we can go question for question and see what each other knows about the ongoings of local business.
I know. Look, listen. I've spoken to a lot of people who are really concerned about what's going on. And I just want to assure you from the bottom of my heart that we mean no harm to the good people of Westamar. Many people are threatened and many people are frightened by our movements. But we are here with the best of intentions. And in fact, right now, I'm actually just to reassure, you're from around here. I just wanted to let you know that myself, me and Marcus and the rest of us, we're actually traveling to Hudspell to meet with Duke Ludwig von Fritz about potentially him committing some of his soldiers to our cause. So we're working together.
And what is your cause?
Well, I understand. You have many questions about
Kan ses i morgen.
You are no doubt familiar with what's happened in your capital, yes?
I mean, if you mean a meteor crashed into it and it is decimated and there are scavengers picking about that husk of a city, hoping to find some sort of answers, yes, I'm aware of that. If you're talking about the war that followed, yes, I'm aware of that. If you're talking about the recent issues surrounding Drakkenheim and possible threats that the meteor itself may have caused, yes, I've heard whispers of that as well. Or if you're talking about the whispering of war between Illyria and Drakkenheim, I've heard whisperings of that as well. So perhaps you can enlighten me on anything I may be uninformed about.
Well, you certainly have the lay of it. But we're here for slightly different purposes. We are here because we know that an heir to the throne of Westamar has been found. Unfortunately,
supposedly,
this heir is under the sway and manipulations of both the Amethyst Academy
without using his turn
and
lights.
the false and heretic
Typical BMW
Christian
drivers.
Your leaders have resolved to allow themselves to be manipulated by a conspiratorial mage guild and an insane heretic. And that 14-year-old boy is going to be manipulated and controlled by these people. These people who do not understand the danger of what they are meddling with. You said many things that you knew about. But are you familiar with this? She reaches into a thick leather pouch and first pulls out a strange leather glove that seems like it might be plated with something on the inside. She reaches into a leather pouch and she pulls out a small fragment of delirium. Have you seen this before?
I've heard it's dangerous.
She looks at both Rudy and Wrath for an answer.
Yes, I have seen things like that. And I do my best to stay away from it. It is quite volatile. I am impressed that you would carry it so openly.
I carry it only so that I may demonstrate what it is. A piece of this. My sister touched a piece of this. It sank into her flesh. And over the course of 2 weeks, it poisoned and polluted her body beyond anything any priest of the sacred fire that we knew could cure. She wasted away before my very eyes, and worst of all, she sank into a screaming madness. The people that are controlling your king want to sell this for profit. That's why we're here.
There is no king. There's rumors and suggestions, but nothing has been cemented, as far as I know. So, before you go claiming that there are new rulers in Westamar,
I am deeply sorry for the loss of your sister.
oh yes, I suppose that was a nicer way to go.
Wow, Wrath, good job.
That must be very difficult. I have had tiffs with my own sister, yet I could not imagine seeing her waste away like that. It seems it has brought you far away from your home.
Yes, it has. Because this stuff has been showing up all over. And we've been hearing about more and more of it all over Westamar, in fact. And so we want to make sure, and there's one place where all of it comes from, Drakkenheim. And as long as there are people there that are willing to use and abuse it, things like what happened to my sister are going to keep happening. And that's why we need the support of everyone in Westamar. Because a king that poisons his people is no king that you want to have on the throne.
See your point. See where you're coming from.
May I ask how you acquired this piece of delirium?
I pulled it out of my sister's corpse.
I'm so sorry.
You said you had questions for us.
I wanted to know if you'd seen it, and evidently you have, and I would love to know where.
Well, let's just say it's crossed our paths. There's reasons why we're on the road. Those reasons may be to do with delirium. It's caused problems around here, I agree.
I want to mentally, and Wilhelm said, don't say anything about our mission. Don't.
Guys, I'm a terrible liar.
Oh, okay. Wilhelm, give me a deception check. Persuasion check.
Ah, there we go. 18.
Okay. She said she smiles and she says, Of course you are. We've heard of other smaller towns that have run into these problems. Most of them are along the Duran River. And there's many of completely normal, average, everyday folk like yourselves that have been going to the dukes and nobles asking for help with what to do. Now, it's not everywhere yet, and most folk don't know what to do. But we want to, we're hoping, at least I hope that I can convince Duke von Fritz and Duke von Baden, at least, to see the light.
Valiant goals, I suppose. So you hope to protect Westmar?
Yes.
By destroying this rock?
Yes, absolutely. And most importantly, bringing to justice that false and heretical prophet that's trying to splinter and fracture our faith by claiming that this poison is an instrument of salvation.
Well, how do you know it can't do good unless you studied it and learned about it?
Sorry, what?
You're just saying it's bad because you've had one bad experience, but bad things can do good as well. I'm not saying I've had good experiences, but what do you know about it?
I know that it killed my sister.
I understand that from your story. But what else do you know about it?
It came from Drakenheim. It's part of the star that hit the city. Beyond that, the only other thing that we do know, it's basically impervious to any sort of weapon or tool that you might strike it with. It takes a magical hammer or divine radiant energy can destroy it, and it crumbles to dust.
Now, I'm not starting an argument here. That's not my goal with what I'm about to say. I believe that it sounds like what you're doing is good, but based on what you just told me, your facts are that a piece of it killed your sister, and therefore you have agreed that it is evil, which makes sense. That's a logical train of thought. Your blade, you carry a blade with you. When the blades were invented, when people invented weaponry and swords, I'm sure there are many people out there in the world who might look upon them and say, well, these are evil, but yet you carry one. It's a fine line between what is useful as a tool and what can do great evil. And it depends who's making the calls. Destroying it may be the answer, but there may also be benefits to it that we have yet to discover.
You're wise. But right now, we've got a madman with a sword. We've got a madwoman with a sword. Asking people to drive it into their hearts.
That could be upsetting. I see your point.
I understand that you are on the way to visit the Duke in hopes of recruiting more to your cause. Are you planning, is this in Todsfeld or in Draensmond?
Both, actually. And then we'll be heading up to Helberg and possibly as well to Altbrook as well. I haven't quite decided whether we're going to head west or north after we leave Todsfeld.
As we travel along, we may find ourselves confronted with delirium or maybe information. Is it possible to reach out to you? It seems you have ways of dealing with it. Although we could find you in one of these places, but if you tend to go on your mission, is it possible that we could find some kind of way to contact you?
We are going to stomp over at St. Rosalind's Cathedral in Todsfeld before we meet with the Duke. The High Flamekeeper there, Irma, can contact us once we inform her of our mission. We believe that Irma still remains faithful to the Flame, although we have heard that this is not the case in Draensmond. From what we understand, the Flamekeeper of the Cathedral of St. Jordana in Draensmond has converted to the heresies of the Christian Matthias.
Have you found your way through Shaftesbury recently?
We passed through Shaftesbury a few weeks ago, but we didn't stay. The people there were kind of strange.
Yes, and they did speak of, well, we heard rumors that there might be illegal trade of delirium coming from Draensmond and Todsfeld.
No,
this might be information you might find helpful upon your quest.
It doesn't surprise me. We're still trying to figure out how it gets down there, but we've seen people meddling with it as far south as Michael's Gate and even down along the Free City and into Caspia. We've heard of it all over, really. It all comes back here somehow. There's only one place where you can find it.
How a rock moves so far is beyond me.
She reaches back down into her other purse, pulls out a gold coin. Rocks for rocks.
Very interesting.
So people don't think about the consequences of the harm they do just to earn a little bit of cash.
Some people are willing to wreak havoc upon the lives of others just in the name of making a few gold coins.
Some wreak havoc for the sake of power. It's all for devilish reasons, wouldn't you agree?
I would. She sighs. She says, I try to live a noble life as best I can. Keep the flame both in my heart and in my spirit. And it's challenging sometimes. It really is. But I just think she sighs for a moment and she thinks on a few of her these kind of tenets and whatnot. She says, the church tells us that the flame is to be with us, that we are to live a noble life, and that first, You must remember, in all things, the first 3 tenets. Act with compassion in all things, for to do so is to keep the flame. Act with truth in all things, for to do so is to keep the flame. And act with righteousness in all things, for to do so is to follow, is to spread the flame. So, just doing what I can. I appreciate you answering my questions.
I appreciate you answering ours. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate the ale.
And thank you for the seating. We are been on the road for some time, and it was nice to let our legs sit instead of on a horse.
Same here. Our horses need another day before we can set out again, but if you wanted to stay an extra night with us, we would be happy to travel to Toddsville with you.
We'll see how...
It seems our business may take us, however, we appreciate the offer.
Certainly. She says, I better see to my men, but feel free to come over.
A little rowdy.
Yeah. They're starting to laugh and make some jokes back on the other side. So that's she excuses herself and says, "Flame be with you."
And also with you.
Monty, what was her name again? I got it at the start.
Gloria.
Can I ask her? Is it weird to ask her at this point?
Gloria.
It is weird to ask her at this point, like super weird. But her name is Knight Captain Gloria.
I whisper over to Wrath. I was like, "It's Gloria. It's Gloria."
I'm waiting for someone else to like say Gloria, and then I can go. Oh,
Yeah.
I lean in to the table with you two. Rule number 31. Don't judge a book by its cover, but also don't pass final judgment until you've given it a good read. And I feel like there's a lot more reading that needs to be done here.
Illyrians have always thought their righteousness comes above the rats of others. I always take what they say with a grain.
She has her story, and that's hers. However, it's important that we keep her in the dark, if you will, as to our intentions. It seems that she has business with the Academy and others who we may find supportive.
What concerns me is the Illyrians seem to be here under some false idea that Drakenheim is electing rulers of Westamar, but we would have heard about that. We would have heard more details about that. And they're here.
Yeah, you guys have kind of been living in the middle of the forest.
That's big news.
Did you sleep in a barn up until like 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
Big news, but like, remember, where's the news coming from? We haven't really had much. I mean, Wrath, we hadn't really talked to you much. You know, in the news, then you pass it on.
Drakenheim has not shown my door in almost 17 years.
It's not like you get a newspaper.
What weight are we going to put into that? The Illyrians are marching on our capital under an assumption of rocks and misguided ideas of leadership and false prophets. It's very scary stuff, but Drakenheim's just a hole in the ground where a few people have been scouring around looking for horrible things. Last I heard, it's full of monsters. I mean, what sort of leaders can exist there? What sort of false prophets can we have existing in such a horrible place?
I've heard rumors of movement happening, but not to the extent that I've heard from these Illyrians. So I wonder how much has been, you know, exaggerated. And you know what happens when they get their, you know, their, you know, underwear bunched up underneath that, you know, shiny armor, and they just need to march out and think, put them, what they think is right on others. And I'm trying to say this like under my breath, but I'm starting to get a bit heated. And I'm
like, I pat you on the shoulder. I feel you.
Anything to send this many Illyrians to our lands, it must be something important. They could have, you know, if it was any sort of other mercenary group, I could understand it being for their own intentions, but they have a righteous order, a duty, if you will, and it seems that they're very driven. They could be very difficult if they get in our way or find us to be a problem.
Last time I heard this kind of news, though, this kind of talk, trying to turn citizens on their leaders, there was a civil war that happened. And I ain't about to go put my foot in anything like that.
No, there's no reason. The thing that worries me the most, they sound righteous and true. They are known to exaggerate. We all know that. They have a righteous path that they believe they have to follow, and sometimes that steers them to bewildering ideals. However, the last thing we need in Westamar is another war. We are still recuperating from the last one. And if they're trying to gather cities under their name, what about the cities who refuse? Then now we have another reason to go to war. The thing that scares me is both war and the fact that they bring up the Amethyst Academy several times in this loose conversation. Wrath, I'm going to look to you for answers here, but how much do we know? I know that you've said that they're taking delirium to use it for benefits, and I believe that that's true. I don't believe they have ill intent, but how much do we actually know about what either of these groups are doing? One plans to destroy it, one plans to exploit it. Are we
the longest time? Yes, the Academy intends to use delirium for its own purposes. It is almost how things work now, and these religious followers, it is in their mission to destroy it. They see it as a blight upon the land. I do not know if they will ever see eye to eye, but these seem to be two extremes, and we find ourselves sort of caught in the middle, as those in Dransman, Todsfeld, and others use this as an opportunity to profit by either selling information or delirium itself. We can reach out to River. River may have more information, but I do follow the way of the Academy. In your words, the delirium is powerful, and in capable hands it can do great things. It is unfortunate what happened to those who cross it, but I still believe it is. But sometimes I must hide my true intentions for the sake of information.
I also don't believe that what we've been seeing is totally based on just the delirium being charted out of Drakenheim and traded around this area. I think there's something else going on here, and we need to keep that in mind, that it may not be the people causing this, but the nature of delirium itself.
I also suspect, I agree with these points, and to follow on those notes, I do suspect that if the Amethyst Academy had plans to fully exploit delirium, why would they hire the three of us to go seek out where it's causing a problem and put those problems to rest? Again, that is a source of them trying to control and use it for good. Even by hiring us, they're doing good, right? We are the good doers.
I hate to say this, but it can also be considered a cleanup crew to try to take care of a mess that they want cleaned up. I'm not saying that it's their mess that will cause them, but to keep it on the down low and not share that kind of information around, it can be seen in their favor to use delirium and not show what it's actually doing to people. So take that with a sly thought.
This is why you're the sheriff, Fruity. Makes sense to me. Again, I go back to my first point. There's more reading that needs to be done. We need to find out deeper what is happening in Westamar with this delirium. We need to find answers, and I don't quite even know what the questions are yet. But I think it's our job to investigate this mystery.
We were hired by the Academy. I think we should finish our duties to the Academy and to River. It is what we've been tasked with. It is what has gotten us this far away from our posting to your hometown, Rudy. This is what we're out here doing to, as capable members, our discretion should be upheld, and we should continue to figure out who else is dealing with this delirium.
I think you're right. It would be not very noble of us if we did not stick true to our mission, and that's what we're here to do. But I think you're right, Wilhelm. We need to keep our eyes out. We need to ask the right questions, and I think we can do a little bit of digging of our own to figure out what's going on and consider when we have finished our mission, we have completed it, if we still want to be part of the Academy, or if we need to consider what else we need to do in this crazy atmosphere and changing times that are happening around Westamar.
Rudy, rethink part of the Academy. I don't understand.
Well, again, we have lots of questions. We don't have a lot of answers. We can have our positive intent towards what the Academy sent us out to do, but the more I'm hearing, the more I'm figuring out, the more I'm questioning all the things that are happening with this delirium and how it's actually affecting the world. And I just want to keep my eye out.
There's a small voice. I know it looks like y'all are having a private conversation, but I couldn't help but noticing that it looked like your ciders were broken. Did you want me to top you up?
That would be lovely. Yes, another round.
And
Breaks
more
the
pie,
tension.
please. More pie. More pie, please. Like, maybe 3 more pies for me. Gentlemen, do you want more pie?
I will take another pie.
Yes, thank you.
1 for each of them. 3 for me, please, because they were a little bit small in the portion sizes, and as you can tell, I'm, not a small woman. I can take care of my appetite with many of these halfling-sized pies.
Very, very good, but I must warn you, we really the full pints pack quite a punch. So if you want to have any of that kind of, it looked like the 3 of you were having a pretty intense conversation there. So if you want to take a room, then there'll be more pie when you get back.
We would like to stay the evening if we could pay for that as well.
Certainly. It's a gold piece each.
Throw it on the tab.
On the tab.
For everything? Is it a gold piece for everything?
Oh, that's just for the board. The bill for dinner will come shortly.
Oh, thank you.
Don't worry, boys, it's on me tonight.
Oh,
Thank you.
I did eat like 3 times the amount of pies that you guys are eating, so it makes sense not to split it evenly.
Yeah, the dinner, all said, the stay ends up costing you only about 10 gold pieces, and they have a way of recognizing their adventurous types and raising their prices. You think that perhaps if they thought that you but is there anything else that you want to discuss or with Gloria Hackfield and her other men before the evening passes?
I'm sure, and I'll speak for myself, but you two can make your own opinions. But I'm sure that in that moment where the tension broke, I think Wilhelm looked up and realized that we were sitting in a bar with 20 Illyrians, quietly mumbling about deep, dark secrets that we don't want them to know. And in that moment when the tension broke, he's like, right, I'm gonna shut up. We're gonna talk about how delicious the pie is.
Pie!
So, Rudy, I have to ask, when you're riding this horse, do you kind of like lean into it? I find my crotch is on fire by the end of the evening.
At the mention of the horses, the Illyrians all perk up, like as if they're like, horses? And immediately they spend the conversation, the whole bar moves to horse breeding, and there's more than a couple derogatory jokes about Illyrians and their horses, and this is why.
I imagine that Wilhelm starts putting on like a more friendly face, and he actually tries to rile up the Illyrians to show Wrath how to ride a horse. Everybody's had a few ciders, and I'm like, this one doesn't know how to ride a horse. Perhaps one of you experts can give him a few tips. And I imagine that we all drunkenly go outside and watch Wrath struggle on a horse. That's my thought. That's what I'm trying to get riled up.
And I think that's where, at that point, with Wrath tumbling from his horse,
in a drunken state.
I will have you roll me a d6.
Uh-oh. 4.
Okay. You tumble off the horse, and as you go to stand up, you see that the pouch of delirium that you were carrying just somewhat spilt, but you're able to snatch it up, and it doesn't look like any of the Illyrians noticed.
That's enough of that. Okay, we're going back. Time for bed.
I think my friend's had too much to drink to really remember anything about horse. I'll teach him on the way. Don't you worry.
We're travelers to Toddsfeld.
All right, Wrath buddy, come with me. Come with me upstairs.
I'm a wizard.
Shut up. No, you're not. You are not. He's not. He's not a... No.
Gets like this when he's been drinking.
And so one of the Illyrians like, Buddy can barely control a horse, let alone a spell.
Right? Right? What a joker this guy is. Friends, whole lives. Not once have I forgotten his name. Let's go.
I'm Stephen Hodges.
That's right, Steve. That's right.
Well, yeah.
That's my fake name.
Okay. With that, the evening passes, and you rise up in the morning to take up your horses. Val brings out your steeds, who seem to be quite happy and well fed, and you depart Emerald Crossing and the Emerald Inn towards Toddsfeld. I think that is a good spot to take a break. And we are back from our break. We have all had our short rest, consumed all of our consumables, and are back at full hit points.
If you're enjoying the stream and you want to help support our work, make sure to check us out on Patreon. You can find out how by following the links below or at patreon.com/dungeon_dudes. Also keep in mind, if you do join our Patreon, we also have a phenomenal Discord community that is exclusive for our patrons, where you can discuss any role-playing games, any D&D related stuff. You can talk to us about Drakkenheim, you can talk to us about whatever geeky topics you feel like talking to us about. So make sure to join us on Discord and join in on the fun there.
And of course, don't forget to look at the links below for our Teespring store, where you can find all of your favorite Dungeon Dudes t-shirts, including Way Bigger Than Ducks, the Dusk Wardens from Shadows of Drakkenheim, but of course some old favorites like Yes, 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 Troll Killer as well. Check out bit.ly/Dungeon Dudes merch.
And in our game tonight, we use a variety of incredible assets produced by talented artists. They have graciously given us permission to use these assets in our stream games, but you can use them at your table too. And we encourage you to check out and support these amazing creators. Roll20 for the virtual tabletop that you get to see on your screen. Battle maps by Alex Fendara of Neutral Party and Ross McConnell of 2 Minute Tabletop. Custom maps created using Dungeon Fog and Wonder Draft. We got player character artwork by Jeremy Cole. NPC token artwork by Matthias Bourbon. Monster token artwork from the D&D 5e Monster Manual and other source books, special effects tokens by Gabriel Picard, and music by Tabletop Audio. So please, please, please support these amazing artists and creators.
Thanks for that amazing shout out to all those fantastic people, Joe. Well rehearsed. Yeah. With that, let us return to the shadows. You, in the morning,